The blaster fire echoed through the towering rocher trees of Kashyyyk like thunder in a canyon. Cal Kestis pressed his back against the massive trunk, feeling the ancient bark crack and splinter as another volley of Imperial bolts slammed into it. The acrid smell of burning wood mixed with the humid jungle air, and somewhere in the distance, a Wookiee roared in defiance. BD-1 chirped from his shoulder, projecting a holographic display. 12 stormtroopers, advancing in standard formation. Cal's fingers found the familiar weight of his lightsaber, though he kept it unignited. The Wookiee prisoners they'd just freed were still too close, still scrambling up the escape routes through the canopy. Then he appeared, Saw Gerrera. The man was exactly as the Hollows had depicted, scarred, weathered, with eyes that had seen too much and refused to look away. His partisans moved like shadows between the trees, each one a survivor of a dozen battles that should have killed them. They fought with savage efficiency. When a stormtrooper raised his hands in surrender, one of Saw's fighters put a bolt through his helmet without breaking stride. The forest erupted into full combat. Cal ignited his blue lightsaber, deflecting bolt after bolt. When the smoke cleared, 15 Imperial bodies littered the forest floor. The Wookiees were safe, vanishing in the upper canopy. Cal stood among the carnage, watching Saw's people strip the bodies with practiced ease. Got the Jedi killed. I was there, boy. I fought beside them. You want to make a difference? You want to actually hurt the Empire instead of just running from it? Cal found himself frozen. Here was someone actually fighting, actually making the Empire bleed. For months he'd been running, hiding, surviving. The weight of Master Tapal's sacrifice pressed down on him like the gravity of a dying star. What if I stayed? Cal, no, you don't know what you're saying. The argument lasted 3 hours in the abandoned Wookiee village. They'd made camp on platforms that creaked under their weight as the sun set through the canopy. Saw's partisans kept watching while Cal, Seer, and Grease stood in what had once been a chieftain's hall. The debate was circular, exhausting. Seer spoke of principles, of the dark path Saw represented. Cal countered with the reality of their situation, running, hiding, collecting echoes while the galaxy burned. BD-1 beeped nervously from Cal's shoulder, his photoreceptor swiveling between them like a child watching parents fight. Finally, Seer's voice dropped to almost a whisper. She spoke of her own fall, how anger and desperation had driven her choices. But Cal's mind was made up. He'd felt it the moment he'd seen Saw's partisans in action, not just fighting, but winning, making the Empire afraid. Grease shook his head repeatedly, muttering about rigged sabbac games and bad bets, but this wasn't about gambling. This was about choosing to fight instead of flee. When Seer turned to leave, she paused at the doorway. Her hand hovered over her lightsaber, the one she'd sworn never to use again. The weight of unspoken warnings hung between them. As the Mantis lifted off an hour later, Cal watched it disappear into the Kashyyyk sky. BD-1 chirped questioningly, and Cal could only offer reassurance he didn't feel. The dark side isn't always obvious, Cal. Sometimes it comes disguised as necessity, as the hard choice, as the greater good. Jedi had their chance to stop the Empire before it began. They failed. Now it's our turn. When you realize what you've become, when you see what this path leads to, we'll be waiting. But even as Cal assured his droid companion, he felt something shift inside him. A line crossed. A door closed. The Jedi he'd been was already fading. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you're enjoying this content so far, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch these videos without subscribing. Imagine what we could accomplish if everyone subscribed. We thank you all for your continued support. 3 weeks. That's how long it took for Cal to understand what he'd signed up for. The raid on the Imperial supply convoy was supposed to be simple. 30 partisans against a dozen stormtroopers in the Shadowlands, but Saw hadn't mentioned the convoy carried rations for enslaved Wookiee workers. When Cal protested, Saw's response was cold mathematics. The supplies would be redistributed regardless, better in partisan hands than Imperial. The ambush was perfect. Cal used the Force to topple massive trees across the convoy's path. The partisans opened fire from elevated positions. In 40 seconds, it was over. Cal dropped to the convoy, lightsaber ready, but there was none needed. The Imperials were already dying or dead. One logistics officer, barely out of his teens, was crawling away, leaving a trail of blood. Cal knelt beside him, reaching for a med pack. The wound was bad, but survivable. The blaster bolt came from behind. The officer's eyes went wide, then empty. Cal spun to see Saw holstering his weapon. That night, sitting with Buru, one of Saw's lieutenants who cleaned his rifle with religious care, Cal struggled with what he'd witnessed. The casual killing, the arithmetic of war. Later, a hollow from Wookiee chieftain Tarful arrived. His roar translated to pure fury. Saw's methods brought more suffering to his people. The Empire increased quotas, extended work hours, reduced rations. For every victory the partisans claimed, the Wookiees paid the price. All eyes turned to Cal, waiting for him to choose between partisan methods and Jedi principles. First rule of the partisans: no Imperial leaves alive, no exceptions. Your methods bring more suffering to our people. For every victory you claim, my people pay the price. The Force signature was unmistakable. Another Jedi, here on Kashyyyk. Cal had been meditating, something increasingly difficult since joining Saw's group. The constant readiness, the perpetual anger fueling the partisans, made finding peace nearly impossible. But there, like a beacon in darkness, was another presence torched by the light. Cal took BD-1 and 3 volunteers, moving through the Shadowlands for 2 days, following the Force signature. They found him in an ancient Wookiee temple. Eth Koth sat in meditation, and even from a distance, Cal could feel the weight of his presence. This wasn't a Padawan survivor, this was a master, a council member. When Eth opened his eyes, they looked impossibly tired. Years of running had carved deep lines in his face. They talked for hours. Eth had been in hiding, moving from planet to planet, always ahead of the Inquisitors. He'd come to Kashyyyk following rumors of a Jedi helping Wookiees, hoping to find a fellow survivor. Instead, he found something that concerned him deeply. The conversation was interrupted by blaster fire. Imperial probe droids swarmed the temple. The 2 Jedi fought side by side, their lightsabers creating a wall of light. Cal felt the familiar rhythm of combat, but also noticed Eth's perfect control. No wasted movement, no anger. Everything Cal had been taught, but was slowly forgetting. When the last droid fell, Saw arrived with reinforcements. He eyed Eth with immediate suspicion. The temple was compromised, he declared. Standard protocol demanded they burn it. When Cal protested about the sacred Wookiee culture, Saw turned the situation into a test of loyalty. I can feel it on you, young one. The anger, the desperation. Saw Gerrera's poison seeping into your spirit. The Jedi are dead. Now there are only survivors and corpses. Which is he? I am what the Force wills me to be. No more, no less. And right now it wills me to warn this young Jedi that you, Saw Gerrera, are a path to darkness. The Imperial response was everything they'd feared and worse. The 3 Star Destroyers appeared in Kashyyyk's orbit within a day. The Executor class meant only one thing. Cal felt Vader's presence the moment the Dark Lord entered the system. A black hole in the Force, consuming all light. Every Jedi instinct screamed at him to run, to hide, to be anywhere else. The first attack came at dawn. 3 Inquisitors, 2nd Brother, 7th Sister, and 9th Sister, led a battalion of Purge troopers. They came at Cal with spinning lightsabers and darkside fury, working in perfect coordination. Without Eth fighting alongside him, Cal would have died in the first minute. The battle raged through the facility. Saw's partisans fought with desperate courage, but were outmatched. Purge troopers cut through them brutally. Buru took a lightsaber through the chest, trying to buy Cal 3 seconds to recover. Then came the deeper darkness. Vader didn't just arrive, he announced himself by exploding the main gate inward. He walked through the flames without hurrying, mechanical breathing echoing through the facility. The Dark Lord deflected everything thrown at him with casual movements. Blaster bolts, grenade, even a stolen E-Web heavy repeater. Nothing slowed his advance. When Eth Koth charged Vader with all his council-level skill, he held his own for 30 seconds. His green blade met Vader's red in a display Cal could barely follow. Then Vader caught Eth's wrist, crushing it with a squeeze, and ran him through. Cal wanted to scream, to charge, to die fighting. Instead, he did what Eth commanded. He ran, using the Force to grab Saw and any partisans he could reach, pulling them toward escape tunnels. Behind them, Vader's mechanical breathing echoed like a promise of death. 2 Jedi, and Saw Gerrera. The Emperor will be pleased. Remember what I taught you. Don't become what you fight. Now go! The more resources the Empire commits here, the less they have elsewhere. This is exactly what they want. They'd lost everything. The base, half the partisans, and Eth Koth. Now hiding in the Shadowlands' deepest caves, beyond Imperial sensors' reach. But Cal knew it was temporary. Vader still hunted. The surviving partisans blamed Cal. His presence had drawn Vader. The cost in lives was staggering. After 2 days of hiding, Saw revealed his next target, an Imperial weapons factory producing nerve gas for clearing Wookiee villages. The problem was it was staffed by enslaved Wookiees. Cal studied the tactical situation. Saw called them acceptable losses, the cold mathematics of war. Every day the factory operated, more died. Destroy it now. Some die, but many saved. Let it stand. All die slowly. Cal hated that Saw had a point, but Eth's words echoed, "Don't become what you fight." Cal proposed infiltration first, freeing workers before destruction. Saw agreed too easily, giving 1 hour before leveling the place regardless. The infiltration went perfectly until Cal hit an unexpected problem. The Wookiees wouldn't leave. If they escaped, the Empire would kill 10 for every runner. Their families would pay the price. Something broke inside Cal. Every option led to death. Every choice demanded innocent blood. This was Saw's world. No good answers, only degrees of evil. BD-1 worked frantically to slice tracking collars while Cal used the Force to cloud guard perceptions, another Jedi teaching twisted for war. He got 37 Wookiees out before Saw's explosives detonated. At least a dozen had still been inside, too sick to move, too afraid to run. If we escape, the Empire kills 10 for every one who runs. We die here, or our families die. Acceptable losses. We're fighting for the galaxy. Sometimes that means making hard choices. There's another way. I infiltrate first, free the workers, then we destroy the factory. The break came 3 weeks later, after 17 more raids, each bloodier than the last. Cal kept count of deaths, Imperial and innocent alike. The numbers haunted his dreams. The final straw was a simple supply run turned massacre. Saw had intelligence about an Imperial officer carrying sector deployment plans. Take him out, steal the plans, save thousands. What Saw hadn't mentioned was the officer would be at his daughter's wedding. Cal stood watching through the Force as partisans took position. Panic erupted. The Imperials scattered. The officer with the plans escaped in the chaos. When Cal returned to base, Saw was waiting. The confrontation was immediate and violent. Saw's mechanical fist left Cal's cheek bleeding. The accusation of betrayal hung in the air. Saw ranted about Imperial innocents being complicit. Every citizen who didn't fight supported the Empire through inaction. Cal heard echoes of Palpatine in those words. The partisans split that night. 7 came with Cal, fighters tired of extremism. The rest stayed, loyal to Saw. As Cal prepared to leave, Saw delivered his final warning about dreamers becoming nightmares or corpses. No middle ground. Cal rejected this binary choice, declaring he'd make middle ground. He left with his small group, BD-1 chirping sad songs on his shoulder. Behind them, Saw's base disappeared into Kashyk's forest darkness. You betrayed us. Betrayed the cause. Their innocence is complicit. Listen to yourself. You sound like them, like the Empire. The galaxy doesn't have room for dreamers. It only has room for survivors. Cal's splinter group found refuge with the Wookiees, who welcomed them cautiously. They'd proven different from Saw's extremists, but trust was hard to rebuild. Alone in borrowed shelter, Cal tried meditating. Instead of peace, he found memories. Master Tapal dying, younglings in the temple, Eth Koth's final stand. BD-1 projected a recording unprompted. Master Cordova's voice filling the space with wisdom about the nature of the dark side. Not just anger and hate, but certainty. The belief that you alone know what's right, that ends always justify means. The moment you stop questioning yourself, stop feeling the weight of choices, that's when you fall. Cal watched the message 3 times, finding new meaning in pre-purged words. A soft chime announced a visitor. Instead of his fighters, a hollow projection appeared. Seer. Her image was fuzzy, transmitted from far away. She'd heard about his break with Saw. She wasn't there to gloat, but to express pride. Walking away from easy answers took strength. They discussed the difficulty of the path. Nothing had been easy, but Saw's way was simple. Kill all opposition. The Jedi way was harder, but led somewhere worth going. Cal argued the Jedi way got them killed. Seer corrected him. Betrayal killed the Jedi. Palpatine killed the Jedi. But the Jedi way survived as long as someone practiced it. The transmission cut before Cal could respond, but her words lingered in the Force like ripples in still water. He sat in the darkness, feeling the weight of choice, the burden of trying to be better than the enemy without becoming them. The dark side isn't just anger and hate, it's certainty. The moment you stop questioning yourself, stop feeling the weight of your choices, that's when you fall. It takes strength to walk away from easy answers. Your way, the Jedi way, it's harder, but it's the only way that leads anywhere worth going. The Jedi way got the Jedi killed. The encrypted message bounced through so many relays that BD-1 needed an hour to decode it. When Seer finally read it, he had to sit down. It was from Bail Organa. The senator from Alderaan had heard about Cal's group, a Jedi leading a cell that fought with precision rather than terror. His agents met Cal in secret on a moon orbiting Kashyyyk. They were professionals, careful, nothing like Saw's wild revolutionaries. They explained Bail's vision, not random cells, but an alliance. Organized resistance. Cal was skeptical. He had one person with 7 fighters, but the agents saw something more. A Jedi leading moral resistance against the Empire was incredibly rare. Most cells were like Gerrera's, effective but brutal. Cal offered an alternative. They provided coordinates, resources, intelligence, not orders, requests. A fundamental difference from Saw's command structure. Meanwhile, Vader's presence loomed over Kashyyyk. The Dark Lord had established a permanent garrison, using the planet as a laboratory for subjugation techniques. What worked here would be applied galaxy-wide. Cal's group hit the garrison's supply lines carefully. They freed prisoners, destroyed weapons, always with minimal casualties. Each raid was a message. Resistance didn't require becoming the enemy. It was working. Other cells began copying their methods. Wookiees actively supported them. Even some Imperials defected, sickened by their orders. The ripples of hope spread through the Force like light through crystal. Then Saw responded to this challenge, to his methodology. The three-way battle was everything Cal had tried to prevent. Saw's partisans had planted explosives in the Imperial garrison's foundation. Detonation would bring down the entire structure and the slave quarters beneath. 1,000 Wookiee prisoners dying to kill 100 Imperials. Cal's group moved to stop them, fighting former allies while the Empire shot at both sides. The garrison's courtyard became a war zone. Cal deflected blaster fire from stormtroopers while trying not to kill partisans he'd once fought beside. BD-1 worked frantically to disarm bombs while calculating escape routes. Then Vader arrived, descending from above like a falling shadow, lightsaber igniting mid-air. He landed between the three forces. Everyone stopped firing. Vader attacked all three sides simultaneously. The Force crushed partisans and Cal's fighters alike. His lightsaber cut through Imperial and Rebel without distinction. He was making a point about the irrelevance of their divisions against true power. Cal found himself fighting back-to-back with Saw, differences momentarily irrelevant. Saw triggered something on his belt. The bombs reactivated. 10 seconds. Cal reached out with the Force, grabbing every Wookiee prisoner he could sense, pulling them toward escape routes. He couldn't save them all. The explosion saved Cal's life, but destroyed everything. The garrison's foundation crumbled. In the chaos, Saw disappeared into smoke. Vader stood unmoved, deflecting debris, but couldn't pursue through destruction. When dust settled, 300 Wookiees stood free. 700 had died. Cal stood among survivors, covered in ash and blood, feeling every death's weight. In the distance, Star Destroyers still orbited. Saw was still out there. Vader still hunted. But also in the distance, ships bearing Bail Organa's hidden mark were landing. Supplies, medical aid, and hope. Predictable. Rebels always destroy themselves. Just like the old times, the prisoners will die free instead of enslaved. We chose to save who we could instead of accepting who we couldn't. That's what makes us different. The lights fade on a galaxy still at war, but with a new kind of hope. Not the hope of easy victory or simple choices, but the hope that even in the darkest times, some would choose the harder path, the path of mercy. Cal Kestis might have vanished from history, but his choice echoed through the Force. Every rebel who spared an army, every fighter who protected civilians, every moment of compassion in a brutal war, they all carried a piece of what Cal had chosen to be. In the Force, all things connect. Every choice matters. Every life saved creates ripples. Even in the darkest shadows, sparks of light endure. If you enjoyed this journey into the shadows of what might have been, remember to hit that subscribe button and join us for more explorations of the infinite possibilities within that galaxy far, far away. May the Force be with you, always.